for healthy living. I apologize for this fan behind me if you can hear that as background noise. That's an automatic sensor that kicks in when there's steam or something building up on the stove. So we are in our second week now of our Heart Healthy month for February, presenting items that are heart healthy, heart friendly, and that can really taste awesome without salt. They have comfort food in them. We talked about different parts of the Mediterranean diet. So this evening we have a recipe that's featuring a spiced chickpea and lentil stew. As the chef takes us through the recipe, you'll see how the ingredients really lean towards a healthier, plant-forward based diet. This week's theme was kind of a plant-forward theme. As we go through each week in February, we're going to highlight a different theme for each week. I love to see the familiar faces that are here, some new faces. So at the center, we like to promote nutrition, lifestyle change, and how to fight chronic disease using nutrition. So a lot of the culinary background that goes into this is aimed towards providing an educational experience for those that are in the crowd and for those watching via Facebook, or will go back and find this video, which is going to be saved on Griffin's YouTube page. So for those of you that are not familiar with it, if you go on to youtube.com and you search Griffin Health, we have a playlist of thumbnails from all the videos that were ever done with us here. So at the end of this video, you will see the recipe. For people that are not in person today, I did hand out recipe cards. You'll see a recipe card at the end of this video. Tonight, helping us with our presentation, we have registered dietitian Jody Reed, and behind me we have executive chef Todd Concilio. I wanted to make sure I got the spelling right on that. So without further ado, I'm going to turn this over to Jody. She's going to take us through her slide deck, and then we'll get into the actual demonstration.
Hello everyone. If you have any questions, shout them out, raise your hand, whatever you want as we go through. So this week we're talking about plant-forward heart health. So what's the difference between a plant-based diet or more plant-forward? So plant-based means you're entirely made up of plant-based foods. It can include foods of various process levels, so you can have it completely where everything's fresh, you're cooking everything, or you can have some processed stuff in there like tofu or like the veggie burgers or something like that. Some diets can be very, very strict, like vegan, where you only have no animal products at all. And then plant forward is more, you're going to start having more vegetable focus, bean focus, whatever you want to try to decide to incorporate more of. More of the plant food, still a little less processed like we talked about last week. And then how much of the plants or plant-based diet you want to have is determined by how you want to have it. So plant forward emphasizes plant-based foods, doesn't mean it has to be all plant-based. A lot of fruits and vegetables, which we talk about a lot. It's definitely harder to eat a lot of that stuff right now because of the food costs, but you can definitely do frozen. And then a lot of grains, preferably whole grains as much as possible. If you do more plant-based diets, whole grains actually have more protein in them than the white refined things. And then beans, legumes, soy food for proteins, nuts and seeds, the plant oils, so like the sunflower oil or the avocado oil, olive oil, a lot of herbs and spices, goes hand in hand with the nice spiced dish she's going to have today. And then it also reflects the evidence-based principles of health, so specifically heart health, but also of a sustainability count too, because of the impact that some of the meat has on our system, our ecosystem. So how does fiber improve cholesterol and blood pressure? Does anybody know offhand without looking how fiber can help your cholesterol? I'm pretty sure I've showed you. So fiber really helps kind of cling to things. So if your cholesterol is a little elevated, it can kind of almost bind to it to help it pull it out of the bloodstream as much as possible. There are people that just genetically make too much cholesterol, and no matter what type of diet you have, you might have to go on a cholesterol medication or one of the other lipid lowering profile meds that they have. But it helps your cholesterol get out of your gut, out of your system, by kind of sticking to it. It's like a sponge almost. Then it also pushes out how much cholesterol gets out in your stool, which we're always trying to get stuff out of us, so that helps it cling to it. And it can also, certain types of fiber can help feed the good bacteria in our guts that we want to feed, and help decrease the levels of the not as healthy bacteria. And there's two different types of fiber. Soluble is the type of fiber that actually helps lower cholesterol, and soluble is the one that helps you be regular. So soluble fibers in like oats, peas, beans, apples, avocados, bananas, a lot of citrus fruits, and some of these are sources of soluble and insoluble, so has a benefit of making you regular and improving cholesterol. Diets that higher in fiber tend to be higher naturally in the intake of fruits and vegetables, whole grains, and low-fat dairy products, which in turn tends to lower the blood pressure. A lot of time, if people are kind of more full on fiber, they might have a more kind of a normal weight. I hate using that term, but the more lower the weight tends to be improved blood pressure. Sometimes losing 5-10 pounds improves blood pressure for people. So, protein. If you're not going to have meat, where are you going to get your protein from? And you can still do meat on a plant-forward diet. But tofu is a good option. Some of my patients are like, ew, I don't ever want to do tofu. It doesn't look very good. Tofu is literally like a sponge. It kind of takes up the flavors of what you cook it with. It definitely has a lot of different textures, so a lot of time if people have had it, they might not like the texture. My favorite way to have it is air fried. I love it that way. It's really common in Japanese cuisine, and they'll use it in like miso soup. It gives a lot of flavor. And then there's tempeh. It's another soy protein source. It's a different texture though. It's not my favorite personally for the texture. It has it's like a little bit of a drier, harder texture, so some people like that a little bit more. And then seitan, I don't know if anybody's heard of that. That's made from vital wheat gluten, so it's a very different texture. It's one of the ones that they use to make kind of like the fake deli meats that look like the tofurkeys and stuff like that. It'll have kind of that look like it. So I put kind of the different pictures of them up there. The tofu is the one on well, there's silken tofu that you can make desserts out of, like a protein mousse. And then the other tofu is right below it. The tempeh is that kind of almost looks like it has rice in it, but it's not rice. And then the seitan's the one in the brown looking one. And then beans and legumes definitely are a good protein source. Now they're not quite as much protein as chicken or fish, but they are a good way to get protein in. And if you put them with like a grain, they definitely will fill you up and get you a lot of fiber. So some people might put like beans and quinoa, or like chickpeas and farro, however you want to do it. And then you can also do just the actual soybean itself, the edamame. They sell it fresh, frozen. You can just eat it by itself. I love throwing it on salads. I like the texture of it a lot. Nuts and seeds, really any nut that you like. You can throw it in anything that you want. We do a bolognese with just like a little cauliflower and nuts that at the hospital a lot that I like. It's a good way to get some protein in there. And then soy milk, because soy is protein, so any version of it will give you some protein. So like a lot of those other plant-based milks don't have protein in them, but soy is one of the few that actually does have some protein in it. Veggie patties are another way you can get some protein in. Some definitely have more protein than others depending on what the bean or legume or anything that you make them out of. And then quinoa also is a grain, but it has more protein in it than a lot of other grains out there. So if you decide you want to move forward more of a plant-based diet, you can definitely want to have half your plate be those non-starchy vegetables, spinach, really a lot of the green things, the squashes, the broccoli, cauliflower, a lot of those fibrous things, carrots. You can add some of those things to omelets, so you can have like the eggs to get some protein, add more veggies that way. Stir fries, they're definitely the quickest, easiest way to get veggies in. Pastas, I like making like pasta salads a lot, throwing some vegetables and beans in there and prepping them out, and they taste better the next day. Same thing with soups. This is going to be a great recipe to have, freeze, you know, if you don't want to have a big pot of it. And then you can also just use meat as like the garnish. So you can still have some of the meat, but it's not like the main kind of focus of it. So you have like an ounce or two of the meat. You could do a small piece of like chicken in the salad, or fajitas, or some shrimp, or like a little kebab or something. You can also try some of the plant-based meat alternatives, or like the nut-based cheeses if you want to try less dairy. I have tried a lot of them. Some are definitely better than others as far as the taste. And you can actually make your own cheese pretty easily. That tastes a lot better, and then there's not a lot of the other binders and fillers and things that they put in some of those more processed cheeses. And then you can do eggplant a lot, or mushrooms. They hold up the texture really well. So some people, if they're doing like they want like a lasagna, they'll do like eggplant in there. Like you just got to dry it up pretty good. And then use a bean burger instead of like beef or poultry. So this is how a plate could look if you're doing more of a plant forward diet. So your protein would be any type of legume, lentil, however you want to do it. The other quarter of your plate would be that starch, preferably a higher fiber one, barley, farro, quinoa, and then the produce. So that one has it cooked, and then you can mix that all together and have a really, really filling meal. This could be like a protein breakfast that's more plant forward. This is one of the acai bowls, but you can definitely have more protein in it. Some people will do like yogurt with it, or cottage cheese, or they're doing like the nuts or seeds for that protein and the more of the fiber in it. The other one is kind of like a hash type of thing, and then that yummy looking rice noodle. That would be amazing, and they don't even have to have any non-meat with it. Up to you.
Yeah, you can advance it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So on this topic of plant forward, I'm going to trade places with you. What I did was I just put a quick slide together, looking at what the 6 pillars talk about when you're thinking about lifestyle medicine, right? So, right now, healthcare systems are in a crisis related to the rising costs of chronic disease. A smaller hospital like Griffin sees an amplitude of issues related to obesity, diabetes, congestive heart failure, renal failure, and all the research points to lifestyle modification as that first recommendation for all the clinical guidelines when you're thinking about chronic disease management. Before these GLP-1 medications came out, the doctor would say, how comfortable are you with your weight? Some physicians openly said they're not comfortable discussing your weight with you because they feel like you're going to feel like they're passing judgment on them. And then, lo and behold, we get all these GLP-1s coming out, and everyone's losing weight on them, and they're not even taking them for diabetes or pre-diabetes. They just want to lose weight. Well, now the insurance companies are cutting back, saying we're not going to cover these anymore. People are trying to get them online, through HIMSS, through different sites. I know someone that went to Canada and got one. The point is that there's not a lot of research on the longevity and long-term on these meds. The research we do have now suggests that when you stop these medications, within 4 months, the weight's coming back on. if you do not make the necessary lifestyle changes that are associated or should be associated with those medications. So addressing the root cause of that disease process, how do you do that? Try to incorporate those 6 pillars. And then lifestyle medicine, it really focuses on the individual person and identifies the areas that really need improvement. So, when you think about instituting some lifestyle change, right? What do we want to think about? Physical activity, stress management, healthy relationships, proper sleep, avoidance of the risky substances, and healthful eating of a more plant-based diet. So really, those are your 6 pillars of lifestyle medicine. There's different innuations, verbiage that ties to this. Sometimes you'll see something that says social connection as opposed to healthy relationships. Physical activity is kind of like the one that's always there. Stress management, we all have different ways of coping with stress, but I think the number one thing is identifying what your stressors are, and then being able to find something that relieves that stress from you. So I wanted to mention that because I feel like part of what we do here isn't all just nutrition based. You should be thinking about other types of things that you could institute that'll help you kind of achieve your goals. And at this point in life, we're like, okay, we're behind the 8 ball. Maybe we weren't the healthiest when we were younger. We didn't know any better. But now we have a value in life and in what we're going ahead doing forward. You got to have a goal. Like I think I said last week, I get up in the morning for my kids. Like I love getting up and seeing what they're up to. And I joke with my wife. I'm like, so what are we going to do when the kids are out of the house? I'm going to have to get to know you again, babe. And she laughs. And, I honestly, thank God we have a great relationship. We still have date night and we still get out. But it's happened to friends of ours. And it's like, once the kids are out of the house, you're like, oh, my God, I have a significant other that I barely talked to for the last 10 years because of the kids. What do we do? So on that, to end on a great note, does anyone have any questions for Jody related to her slide deck on the more plant-forward approach to nutrition? I want to comment. Oh, go ahead. You have a question. Yeah.
Soy was something that you used to stay away from because of breast health, and now it's back.
So the only people that ever really, really need to avoid soy are the ones with the BRCA gene. But it's really, there was a lot of misrepresentation about soy and estrogen and everything, and they're finding out more. But a lot of other countries eat soy, and they don't have the breast cancer rates. So is it the soy? Is it they are better managing stress? Are they more active? Are their diets not as processed? Is it the form of soy they're using? Are they just having it as like tofu or edamame and not in these soy fillers and all the other things that can go into it? Is it how we're processed? So I always tell people try to do it in a least processed way, like doing edamame or like even tofu that's not as processed.
Is that helpful? Yeah. Any other questions for Jody before I turn it over to the chef? No. I was part of I listened in on a webinar that was put on by we're a partner with Teaching Kitchen Collaborative, which is out of Sonoma County. That organization was founded back in 2016. What they decided was, or their goal was to really institute culinary medicine into medical school programming. That's really their niche. They sponsor a lot of teaching kitchens, but they've surveyed many physicians in medical schools, and it was found that openly they've admittingly said that there's not any culinary education or nutrition education built into their med school curriculum. So there's a big push to get that to happen, and it's making its way from the West out this way. But I was on a webinar today, and the whole webinar was based off of the blue foods. Does anyone know what the blue foods are? No.
Like the blue zone?
No, well, it was referring to all the different types of seaweed, kelp, the clams, mussels, and it was super interesting. I know I see a few faces, people are like, oh, that's not my thing, but I have to tell you, going out to all these little sporting events, there are more and more kids that are pulling out these little nori seaweed snacks. And I'm like, what's going on? But they're readily available now. And the vitamin content and the fiber and the nutrient breakdown is the profile is so crazy just from that one little snack pack. So you're going to see it coming out more. I'm going to do something here on that topic on the blue foods. But I just wanted to mention it today as we're talking about plant forward. So, all right, without further ado, Chef Todd, take it away.
Hey, here I am. Cool. Welcome, guys. Thanks. So this dish right here, piggybacking off what Jody and Mike said, this is a one-pot dish. It's filled with nutrition. It's filled with vitamins, fiber, everything that you want in a heart-healthy diet. It's super easy. It's super clean. And we're going to get started. All right, real simple. So, a little olive oil to start off with. Not a ton. We have our carrots, celery, and onion, base of most soups and stews, right? I'm gonna add I know it's heart healthy, but we're add a little bit of salt and a little bit of pepper. The reason for that is the salt always extracts the moisture from the vegetables to help them caramelize. Caramelization makes them taste better. So you always want to let your food cook. Don't just dump stuff into a pot and let it simmer in water or something. You hear that sizzle? There you go. We're going to add some sweet potato. If you want to use like butternut squash, you can, or any other kind of squash. So again, you want to cook this for a little while. You want all those vegetables, you want all the moisture to come out, extract those flavors. We're going to add a little bit of garlic. If you don't like garlic, don't add it.
As Chef Todd is preparing this, please, we love questions. It's not often, at least for me, where you're in front of a chef and you're watching him make something and you have an opportunity to question, right? And it's all constructive. He's not going to be he won't get upset, right? What do you think this is?
Ask, please. I've been doing this for about a day and a half, so I know. One of the key things to a lot of soups and stews or whatever bases, when you have something you're going to add spices to, so we have coriander, we've got cinnamon, we've got chili powder, we got turmeric, which is a very heart healthy spice right now. It's very popular. When you add this, add it to your oil and let it quote unquote toast. You want to get this cooked in there. You don't want to burn it, but you want to let it. This brings out so much flavor. It's undeniable how well this works. So you add your spices, and you can smell them as they go, but keep an eye on them because you don't want them to go too long. You don't want to burn them. So when they almost kind of like stick to the veggies.
Smells good. Chef, it smells good way back here already.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, like it's amazing how these little tricks can help a dish, without adding any extra, salt or anything like that. It's just amazing on what food could do with simple tricks. So you can see them coating the vegetables. They look great. They smell great. Again, you want to keep an eye on your food. Make sure you're not burning it. That's one key factor to this dish. I'm going to add the garbanzo beans. You can add any other kind of legume or other bean you like to this, but garbanzo is the bean of choice here. If you don't want to add any, you don't have to. Chickpeas, yes. These are canned. I mean, you can use dry. Dries are fine and because we're using dried lentils, so if this is something that's going to sit for a long time and stew, it's not going to hurt the dish at all. The only thing it'll affect is how much liquid you're going to add.
I have a question for you. Sometimes with the beans, they say you should rinse them, and sometimes they say just put the whole can in with the...
So, yeah, two schools of thought right there. Like, the liquid that's in the beans, it's not going to hurt you at all. It adds a little bit more texture to it. I usually just drain it, don't rinse them, and then add in. You know, it doesn't really, yeah.
You don't necessarily have to like drain it, rinse it. You can use it. Yeah.
So we're going to add the lentils. I'm using red lentils. I know they're not red by color, but they're classified as red lentils. You can use any other lentil. You don't have to use lentils at all. You could use farro. You could use, you know, anything you like, legume-wise, grain-wise. Again, this is all coating really nicely.
And Chef, I'm happy you mentioned that because I think it's important to know that you can substitute different things in. You know, we like to preach if you're not fond of one particular ingredient,
Right.
feel free to substitute.
Right.
It's up to you. You know, there's many things that'll make this work.
And you know, with AI now, you could just say what kind of legume, what kind of grain would fit in here, and you know, boom, there it is. So, I'm gonna add the vegetable stock right now. I want to just put it over the top of the vegetables.
And I think you guys can see that on that screen over there.
All right.
And a little on here.
So there's no bones in this.
She's messing with you.
Right. So I did do it again. That's kind of one of my things. So I'm gonna tell you how I made the stock because it's kind of important. So I always put like fresh thyme and bay leaves into my stocks, tie them up, and then you just throw them out. You don't have to worry about cutting them. How I made this stock was very economic, simple. You take all the peelings from your carrots, your celery, your onions, your potatoes, even your garlic, put it into a pot, cold water, bring it up, let it simmer, strain it, and then you have your stock. You don't have to worry about, if you want to go out and buy vegetable stock, you're more than welcome to do it. But if you have the product right there, why not use it? And just use all those scraps. Instead of chucking them in the trash, put them into your pot. Cold water is the key though. Cold water extracts all the nutrients, extracts all the flavor from the vegetables. So this is going to simmer for a little while.
And Todd, on that, we had done a presentation here called Waste Not, Want Not.
Of course, yeah.
I think a few of us were here, and some of the things we learned was, you know, the importance of different materials to make stocks with. And one of the things we talked about carrots and the carrot top and the celery tops, and how to do a mirepoix. But one of the things we talked about was we made a carrot top chimichurri.
Yeah. Yeah.
But how many times do we just toss that out, right?
Yeah, I look at things like broccoli. You have broccoli stems at home, you buy the whole broccoli. Do not chuck out the broccoli stems. Peel them, use them for soups, all that stuff. Beet tops, use them for smoothies or soup. All this stuff can be utilized, whether you don't think it can be or it can. You know, again, like your onion peels, save them. You could freeze all your onion peels, your carrot peels, to make a stock when you want to make it. So, I mean, all this stuff is economical. I mean, you buy vegetable chicken stock in the store, it's really expensive and it's time consuming. And you know, just to you know.
It is, and it's. I think it's very relative. Everyone knows the price of groceries these days, right? How the costs went up. I mean, you know, it's gone up at least 35-40% just for us, and there's just 4 of us in the house. Across the board. If there's a way to make something more economical and, you know, that'll stretch the dollar, why not? And you know what's going into, so you know it's really healthy.
Yeah, absolutely.
It might be hard to find some of those like veggie broth ones without the salt in it. So like this one you can make, and if you want to add salt, it's still gonna be a lot less than the ones in the store.
Yep.
So you can see the turmeric, what it does to your spatula. This is, it gets a little bit colorful. But yeah, this tool right here, this is a rubber spatula that is heat resistant. This is a great tool. Doesn't scrape your pots. Kind of just, goes right through. We're gonna add brown rice to this to make it a even more full, complete meal. You don't have to. We cooked this earlier. You can even buy the stuff in the bag. That stuff's okay. Just dump it right in if you want to. Again, brown rice a little more healthy than obviously your converted white rice. So this is. I'm sorry, what? You can substitute any grain you would like. You could farro. You could do, a different lentil. You could do anything that cross your mind. Yeah.
You could
Wanna
do
like
barley.
a whole wheat pasta, barley. Yep.
Yeah, I think farro would go good with everything else that's going in here.
Yeah.
It would you definitely want to pre-cook that one first, though.
There's so many different grains out there that. So we're gonna let this simmer for a little while.
So the question was, are you pre-cooking the rice or are you just adding it in raw?
I'm pre-cooking the rice because if you add it in raw, it expands so much that you're gonna have to spend so much time figuring out how much more liquid. The lentils is different because they're not gonna expand as much. They're gonna grab the flavor more than the rice will. Yeah.
Good question.
I know when I cook quinoa myself, I cook it in veggie broth to give it more flavor. So if you wanted to do even the rice, I would cook it in some type of broth too to give it more flavor too.
Right. All right. So this is gonna go for like another 10 minutes, and we'll have to kill some time and chat. But so what we're gonna do at the end is I made this lemon zest yogurt. You could put this is a great probiotic on top of this. Really helps the digestive system. A little lemon zest, plain Greek yogurt, no salt. Put a little dollop on top. Makes it a little creamier. Really, really nice. Yeah, absolutely. And then.
And if someone doesn't want that, of course, just let us know. We will omit that from your.
And the last thing we're going to add to this is baby kale. My original recipe, and Jody was there, had spinach. And I was like, I dig spinach. It's great. But it kind of breaks down more, gets a little slimy. The baby kale, you can actually use Tuscan kale if you like, which is a different type of kale, more hardy. This is not going to break down as much, but you're going to get as much nutrients from it, if not more than spinach. And again, this is a complete one-pot meal. And like I said, you could freeze this. You could, have it for, I always recommend you make this a day or two ahead of time and then serve it. Because it's just going to get better and better over time.
Yeah.
Yep.
And kale especially because it holds better when you reheat it. It won't be like we've all had spinach, which is fine, but it definitely gets that kind of
It gets
slimy.
a little mouchade at the
Yeah.
end. So,
Yeah.
so we recently did something similar where we talked about freezing it, and we talked about putting it in. She's not looking, but we talked about putting it in like a quart freezer bag. There she is, and putting it in the freezer bag, sealing it really good. And I would suggest a name brand quart bag as opposed to those ones you get at the dollar store because they just don't hold up as well. But when you freeze them, if you freeze them laying down, they stack so nice, and it saves room in your freezer. And Chef Todd said, you make it a couple days ahead of time. If you're not going to use it all, put it in the freezer. You can pull it out, and it actually comes out really well. You put it right into a pot. Leave it on low heat.
Yeah, like anything, any sauces that you're gonna make. Even at home, I always make an abundance of sauce. Whether it be a marinara sauce, it could be anything. And freeze them. They do not. It doesn't affect the quality of the product as it would like freezing fish or freezing meat. It's gonna get better. You might have some ice crystals on it, but you reduce it down a little bit. You might have to re-season it a little bit, but it's something good. Like it's a Sunday and it's snowing. You're like, oh, I got nothing. Pop in the freezer, and here it is. I got this stew. I got this, and label things. Always label things.
Yeah,
Date them.
Date them when you get them. Yeah.
Sorry, as an executive chef that's been doing this for a long time, the biggest caveat in my kitchens, if you don't label or date something, I will kill you. And, it's the thing where if I walk through the walk-in, my director and I, we'll go through our walk-in coolers, and if it's not labeled or dated, it goes in the trash because we don't know what it is or how long it's been there. And that goes with the home too. Like if you go through and again get a Sharpie, I got multiple pens here. Get a Sharpie, write down, so lentil stew 2-10/ and the year.
Yep.
Put the year 26 because you don't know, like, oh man, when was this from? And everyone thinks that if something's frozen, it can stay forever. It can't really stay forever.
Yeah.
You're looking 6
What,
months.
I would say 4 to 6
Yeah.
months.
4 to
right?
6 months
Yeah.
is a good timetable. But again, all these tricks can help you save some money, time. Again, like you have kids or whatever, and they come home like, crap, I don't have anything, and you boil your marinara sauce, boil some whole wheat pasta, whatever, or you have this, So, and I tell you right now, even kids, they're not going to be disappointed on this because how good it tastes. If you want to take out some of the different spices, you're more than welcome to. If you want to add different ones, but keep it on this kind of level with the
Uh-huh. So think of when the farmers markets are really in season, right? We have an opportunity to get really fresh organic vegetables for a very much more economical, cheaper cost. But sometimes even myself, like I have a garden in the summer, and towards the end of the gardening season, usually I'm like, oh my God, if I see another tomato, what am I going to do with all these things? Or you have zucchini like baseball bats, and you've got, it's either a really good season or everyone's talking about how bad their tomatoes were, right? So if you have a really good season, you're like, holy cow, what am I going to do with all these? So depending on this type of tomato, I used to always think, well, certain tomatoes are for sauce and certain tomatoes are for soups. But what we do is we flash boil them, pull the skin off, mash them up, put them in freezer bags, and then you add them to soups or you add them to a pasta dish, and it actually comes out really well. Different squashes, so my father-in-law grows pumpkins and different types of squashes, but he'll pull this thing out in like January. I'm like, Dad, where'd you get this thing from? Oh, it was in the basement. I'm like, but it's like rock hard, and we cut it up, we roast it, and the freaking thing's awesome. So it's like different ways you have to stretch things, right? So we're talking about saving money and things, but taking advantage of the different colors of fall, looking at those spring crops, the hardier leafy vegetables that come out that are cold tolerant. Take advantage of those, and then if you're able to freeze them, they do stretch you out a long way.
So just going on farming and different vegetables. I used to live in the Midwest, and I had some friends that lived way up north, Wisconsin, and these guys were nuts. Ice fishing, what have you. One of my friends, not that we're going to do this, well, we might, Connecticut's getting this way. He would take his garden and he would plant carrots, mostly root vegetables, and then he would cover them with hay and burlap, and he would literally, throughout the winter, just pull the carrots out of the ground, and they're basically hibernated for the time period, and they were so sweet and so good. I mean, I know it's really not relevant to what we're doing here today, but
No, but we're talking about the stretching the season, really,
Yeah.
is what it comes down to, right? I mean, how many of us can say that they've gone to a farmer's market in the winter? We did a whole thing on a winter's farmer's market, and we talked about, we had an event here where we talked about pureeing squashes and pumpkins that were left over from the season, and we handed it out to people. They ended up with 4 pint jars full of this that you can use for sauces and soups. They're out there. I mean, these farmers, it's called gleaning, right? There were so many of these farms that had, I think our associate that works with us, Katie, had 2 tons full of squash and pumpkins and gourds left over that normally they would just say we're going to feed it to the pigs or feed it to whoever, but at some point, even the pigs are done with them. So it's like and that's saying a lot. There was just tons and tons. So it's like, it's a good practice. It really is.
so we're going to add a little bit of the kale right now. Again, you don't have to use kale. Again, it just makes it a more complete meal. You're going to add more than you actually think you need because it will wilt down quite a bit. If you ever sauteed spinach or something, you need 3 times the amount what you actually think you need.
Oh, that
And-
kills me.
Yeah. If you have a 3-pound bag of spinach, you need, 7 pounds just to get what you want to get out of it.
And with kale, you don't have to do any massaging of it like you do
Nothing.
with
No.
chard or anything.
Just throw it in. Don't massage your vegetables, please.
Not the baby kale.
Don't
Talking about the stems on the
Don't-
shards.
Don't massage your vegetables.
Don't. No.
No, the stems of like Swiss chard and just chop them up fine, saute them separately, and you can put them in, after the fact. They are more fibrous. I don't pound them out like
You
they
don't do like deep
I-
effleurage and petricide.
Absolutely not. I'm weird. I'm not that weird. What's that? Well, you do you. You do you. Yeah, I don't massage kale. Yeah.
So I think it's a preference.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah, it's a preference, right? So they are very. So instead of cutting off the stem, I've even seen people dissect the leaf off the stem
Yes.
to
Yes.
avoid the stem totally.
But don't throw out the stems.
There's a lot of nutrients in the stems.
Yeah.
So, whether if you're going to boil the whole thing, stem included, some people like to just break it down a little bit so it's not as tough. But like what Todd is saying is cut the stem off separately, saute them differently, so you'll still have them and you're not losing the nutrient value of that.
Or you could use like the actual leaf part for soups and like roast up or saute just the stems and keep those
Yeah.
separate. But they roast
Or-
really well too.
They are. Use the stems for your stock
Yeah.
and the leaves for the actual soup.
Again,
We
like-
actually did
like
a
a-
stock with corn
Yeah.
cobs.
Yeah, so that's a great. I think I talked about it a couple weeks ago, where
Yeah.
you take the corn cobs. Say if you're using the corn, take the cobs, put them in your stock.
Yeah.
All the starch that comes out of it helps thicken it, and you get the flavor out of it too. I mean,
It's awesome.
there's utilization on everything that people just put in the trash, and it's not hyperbole. It's really it's savings, and it's also just gets better flavor. Yeah. All right, so this is pretty much done, and it didn't take long, and that's what you come up with. I mean, it's a delicious dish. I said we have the yogurt. They were not. Right. Yeah.
Were they split lentils?
No.
They were just like
Yeah. So we have the yogurt. This is the Stanny yogurt from right here in Sonia. Yeah. And when you guys are using lemon zest, lemon is great. It adds so much flavor without any additive. It just brings out the brightness of things. And this is instead of like adding sour cream or something to this, like you would for a chili or another stew. Just a little lemon zest, yogurt. If you have a zester at home, you should get one. These things are awesome. These are for oranges, cucumbers. Or,
I mean, you could do that. It would just
I mean-
not.
Cucumbers, whatever you got. Oranges, any citrus. So, yeah.
So many cut these.
Yes, the black lentils take a little longer.
Yeah.
The-
I
the
think
red,
like the darker ones
yep.
tend to take longer.
They do. The green, and the flavor profile is so similar. It's just
We don't have one.
it is what it is. The starch content is pretty much the same, so you're not going to benefit either way. But yeah, this at home, like you can see how thick it's getting. If you wanted it thinner, obviously add some more stock. If you want it thicker, you could reduce it down. But again, if you freeze it, you could always add more stock to it at the end.
It's crusty enough.
Joe, do you want to try this?
Yeah, because it'll taste like lemon.
And here's the thing.
I already tried your amazing soup the first time.
Here's the thing, guys. When you're cooking at home, this is important. Try your food throughout the cooking process. You just don't know. You don't. I mean, is it too salty? Is it? There's not enough salt, or is there?
It's delicious. I know if you try it, you're gonna be like, it needs a little more salt, but I think it's good. I think it's like, I like it even better than that first one we did.
Yeah. So again, trying your food is essential. I don't know what's happening.
All right, so Chef, the soup.
Yep.
The stew is pretty much finished.
Yep.
Stew is finished. Okay. So, I think I'll wrap up the presentation.
Please do.
Before we wrap up, does anyone have any questions for Jody or Chef Todd? Wow, we must have did a really good job explaining as we
They
went.
just want to eat.
We did
They're
a
all
really
looking
good
at
job
me
or a
with
really
the
bad
eyes like
job?
they just want to taste the stew. Put the stew in front of us now. Okay, so I've been given directions to do something with this. So I will do something with it. Okay, so we are going to go and wrap up our presentation today. Those of you that are in the audience, thank you for being here. You will be rewarded with what we made this evening. Those of you that were watching, thank you for watching. As always, you can find us on, if you go to griffinhealth.org/events, you will see all the Teaching Kitchen events that are coming up. We are doing something every Tuesday evening here at the Center for Healthy Living at Quarry Walk in Oxford. We do have our YouTube page, youtube.com, Griffin Health. You can see all of our videos there. Please, you can email in. There's an email link there on the site. We're open to taking ideas, suggestions for future classes or topics. I am going to do one on the blue foods at some point, so I'm hoping to see all of you here ready to try something. Next week we are continuing our heart health education with a, I believe it's not the comfort food, it's the flavor without salt.
Yeah, it's flavor without salt, but I can't
Flavor
remember.
without salt. That
It's
was a
the
hot
tuna, I
topic. That's
believe.
next week. That's next Tuesday. And then we are going to culminate February with the comfort food topic, which I believe is a spaghetti, squash, and turkey meatball, I think. So, great stuff. We love seeing you here, so please feel free. Join us whenever you can. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Chef Todd and Jody.